pretty dead on. That's all I'm saying.
I like
Uh,
it.
Welcome to Echo Chamber, the session in between sessions. This in this episode, we will talk about how we knowingly walked into a trap to try and kill people because there was no way around it. I think that about
Yeah,
sums up
pretty.
last episode, right?
I mean, is
Yeah.
it really a trap if it's not a surprise? I mean, we knew exactly what we were going to be walking into, right?
Yeah.
You have a valid point for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of interested. I'd like to hear Warwick's side. Like Warwick kind of is in the crew but out of the crew. You know what I mean? Like he's definitely one of us. Like we accept him, but I always feel like Warwick could bounce on us at any minute. You know what I mean? And so like I'm curious how Warwick feels about these guys are fucking crazy just walking in this trap.
See, I understand we're trying to like help Siddle out, stuff like that, but I don't know what the end game is. I think up until this point, it's we're here to do something with the giants and save humanity, which is a very vague way of saying we'll just take on any quest. So, I mean, at this point in time, it's no surprise. Let's be honest, we're gonna walk into just about anything. So, yeah, I figured if it's a is it really a trap though? I mean, someone's expecting us. We have no idea if Siddle remembers who it is. I'm excited to see how hefty they are, but I don't know. Is it really a trap?
I'll
I
tell you
mean,
what. I'll tell you
Well,
what. Warwick can have the lair. All right.
I'm gonna suggest that this person gives me their lair and leave. But of course, this person will probably have legendary feats, so I need Griswold and a few other people to cast some charmy charm spells so I can land mine. Right? I'm
All
more
right.
concerned that we've used up spell slots and we're going into a boss fight.
I've only used two.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
For,
we talked about this. I wanted to hear Siddle's response to that because it kind of hinges on him as far as spell slots. Like he's not a warlock, you know. I just don't know how, other than a long rest, a wizard brings back his spell slots. So where are you at with that, Siddle?
So I can get a couple back during a short rest too.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Um, I've been leaning pretty heavily on cantrips because now that I think it's like sixth level where your damage die doubles on cantrips. So I've been
Mm.
relying pretty heavily on cantrips, knowing that yeah we're gonna go into some shit. Um, I think the only real I'm trying to open my character sheet right now, so I'm kind of stalling, but I think the only higher level spell I've really even used right now, since the last long rest, is uh, Wall of Fire.
Yeah. That's me and Carl were talking about that. That there
Uh,
was the wall fire, there was a shatter. I think that was really about it, right?
I think that was it. All right, my character sheet's back up. So, all right, I've got three first levels left. I've got two second levels, two third levels, and a fourth level. So I've got a pretty hefty amount of slots left still.
And Key, because you've been only using
Chill touch.
Sure. Yeah. It's doing some
yeah.
damage too.
So yeah, it
Well,
has been.
especially to Frank, am I right?
Yeah.
I can't wait to look at the damage charts later just to see Frank's damage.
I think that's on. I think I put it. I think I have it on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
have it on.
7 points of damage to Frank.
Yeah.
that's
Because I,
awesome.
'cause I nat one did. Yeah. I'm just interested to see where this story plays out, you know? Because I don't know, is this gonna end Siddle's like side quest or is there more to it, you know? I don't know.
It maybe, who knows? Maybe this leads to more of the Giants. I don't. I think it will somehow, whether it's Siddle's background or this Kraken Society. I don't know. I think there's somehow the fact that he um Garrett, that is, gave us that one picture of the dead giant. I think that has something to do with it, and the fact that there was a zombie giant. There's a little tie in there. I think, you know.
Yeah, and I think that in the beginning of this, it was, hey, there's some amount of something to do with me losing my memory, whatever. There was I was onto something about the
Mhm.
Giants potentially. So I
Yeah.
think that was kind of why we dove into this so hard.
For sure, because we were in Wave Echo Cave and you were the only one that knew about the Von and Dodd. Then we go to Tribor and find a piece of the Von and Dodd, and we're like, holy shit, Siddle needs his memory back. That's kind of what led us down this
Yeah,
path. And
Yeah.
exactly.
for Warwick, like coming into the group from out that doesn't
He didn't
know like
experience all that.
those
Yeah,
things, it
Mhm.
does probably look like we're assholes. like,
Yeah.
but there is some sense of okay, we're still on a path. Every once in a while, we just branch off a little bit.
Mhm.
So what's next after we have this battle? What are we
It's
doing next?
really going to depend on like where this leads us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if we get to this and we discover that this is the Storm Giants plan, then obviously we have to go down that path. And whether that's, to try and recruit Harshnag or, you know, get a boat, we're not sure at this point.
Yeah.
So where does Griswold's story fit into all of this? Because that's pretty important to
That,
him, right?
yeah, that's a good question.
I mean,
So
I
I
so,
mean, I don't know if we're, you know, I just don't know what's going to happen if we push that off any further.
So
yeah, that's a
let's
good
talk
point.
about that. Like everybody kind of has a backstory. I mean, granted, Rusty didn't know his, but everybody has a backstory, and it's one of those things that you have to set priorities to. And if the Giants are going to take over the world, what does it matter if fissures are opening? You know what I mean? You kind of have to weigh it that way. And same with Amrook stuff with the dwarves I consistently know, or I'm not sure what Warwick has going on, or eventually getting back to Silvery Moon for Adrin, like so it kind of depends. Siddles just happened to fit the actual let's stop the giants from killing everyone.
Hmm. Yeah, I'll just be interested if I'm not interested. I don't think that it's going to come down to the Giants killing everybody right off the bat. I think we're going to have some time. So I'm just interested to see the group's dynamic whenever we get done with this little boss fight. What's going to happen? Where
Mhm.
are we going to get pushed?
For sure, for
It's
sure. And
always
I,
my
Yeah.
curiosity.
Yeah.
and I think we've
Along for the ride.
been pretty democratic about it so far. When we met those guys in Billard, in that bar in Billard, like obviously Griswold wanted to go down that path, and I'm pretty sure Emmerich even said, if that's what you want to do, you have my axe, but I think this is more important.
Yeah.
And so I mean, we'll see. It is interesting to think of, some of those backstories will tie in, some of them won't. And, it's just like some of these side quests, you never know which one is actually part of the main quest.
Hmm. Like I said, I'm just along for the ride.
Okay, okay.
We need to get back to Wave Echo Cave though. Don't we have some like? Can't you get like magical items and stuff from there or no? Or have you already cleared it out?
So Wave Echo Cave has the ability to make magical items. However, they were still repairing it and stuff like that. And then, you have to decide, like, how much time do we invest in that and according to the pressing of the Giants issue. So
Huh? Do you think if we started going up against the Giants right now, we're ready?
nope. Not if we were fighting a bunch of them.
Yeah. No.
We can handle ourselves against a couple at a time, but
Yeah.
like I think literally a couple, literally two at once, and then anything
Yeah.
beyond that, it
Yeah.
gets real sketch.
I would say 4.
If I was to say, if we had, if there was one more frost giant in that last battle with the frost giants, it might have gotten a little dicey.
So
Yeah.
good thing we have Revivify, huh?
I, I, I think we could handle 4, but I also know that if we thought we were capable of handling a whole horde of giants at once, we know where the fire giants are. We
Yeah.
know where their home base is. Like we could go up there and take them on if we thought we could, but we know we can't.
So how diplomatic do we want to be against using the giant groups against one another?
I
So
think that's already. I think that's kind of already a thing. Like
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew that, but I guess Adrian probably didn't realize that you know they're they're kind of always butting heads especially the frost giants and the fire giants. They're very
Fire and ice.
militaristic. Yeah, yeah. The storm giants know they're on top. Cloud giants kind of know their place, but the frost giants and the fire giants are always kind of battling.
I'll also add, and this one again for Keegan, we already started down that path. That's the reason that we needed to kill Guh to put
Yeah,
uh, Hruk in place, because now we can call upon the Hill Giants. We can be that diplomatic, help us out, and we will guide you down the path of leading the Giants.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
we
had
gonna
to do that Banana
the hill,
Republic.
aren't the hill giants like bottom of the
they're
totem
done.
pole though?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, they are.
You got to start somewhere, you know.
Yeah,
All right. So we're sticking with the hill giants. Like those are our allies. We're not gonna like bump up to the fire giants or maybe talk to the cloud folk and see what we can do.
I don't know if I'd call them allies, but we're at least on speaking terms. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So like it could still go where it's going to go, but that's not to say we can't do the hill giants and stone giants, because they're both on the bottom, and now guess what? They want to be on top.
Right.
yeah.
I'm just
Yeah, I mean, I
thinking
think
this
that
in this peripheral Game of Thrones. How do we
yeah,
get this going?
I think that
Just
with the
gotta
Hill
play the
Giants and
game,
Stone
right?
Giants, no matter how
What
futile their aspirations might be, they're still there. You know.
what was that, Rusty? I only caught last part of that.
Oh, so I think that with the Hill Giants and the Stone Giants, as futile as their aspirations may be, like they can never fucking fight their way to the top on their own. I don't think.
Hmm.
Those aspirations are still there. So if we can, kind of help them bargain, or at least make them think we're helping them bargain, you know, we can definitely use that to our diplomatic advantage.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Agreed, for sure.
I want to. I mean, metagaming here.
I mean, isn't this all?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, storm giants are not evil. Um, cloud giants are are kind of 50-50. They're more of a neutral, and the rest all have like lean a little evilish, lean that way. But so I'm curious. I'm curious on what really is the storm giants
Motives.
play is on all this. Like
Yeah.
where yeah, yeah.
I mean, we did find out a little something about the queen of the storm giants there for a
Yeah.
little bit. So I mean, it could have something to do with that. And
Mhm.
we also heard a while back about the king of the storm giants being assassinated. So I
Right.
mean,
Right.
for all we know, like they were at the top, and other giant groups are trying to topple them. So like
Right. Right.
they're not necessarily in that order of we want to kill all little people, but the other
Right.
ones are. So we
Right.
just have to. That's
No,
again,
part
And
we don't need to topple the top, but we need to figure out what's going on to be able to know who we can be diplomatic with.
right.
part of me wonders too, like, is the I don't know that I realize this, that the storm giants aren't inherently evil, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, is it just a case of there's a power vacuum at this point, and everyone else is rushing to get to the top, and do we even know who assassinated um
The king.
the king? Yeah.
Yeah. No, we don't. I guess. I guess it was kind of pinned on the Lord's Alliance, but I
Maybe the
doubt that's really the case.
maybe the Kraken did it. This is just all tying in right away.
I mean,
I
that's
like
a
it.
possibility. That's a possibility.
That's another thing we got to go to, right? Go back to the great ship. Call him out on his ship, right?
For all we know, Nasana's the Kraken. Like
Yeah.
throwing it out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. I mean,
We could be walking into the Kraken's lair. That's all I'm saying.
so we could be dying, is what you're
Could
telling me.
be.
So I'm
I-
thinking if we walk in and there's a Kraken here, I mean, what's the fucking challenge rating on a damn Kraken? It's got to be like 40, right?
I think it's
No,
like
no, no.
12 or something, isn't it?
I was gonna say I think it's like 13, 14, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I
I
don't
might
think
be,
it's
Okay.
I might be turning around and
you and Reed both.
see ya. But bye now.
See, but I'm all right. So that goes back with our last session, our last echo chamber session on alignment talk. So that makes perfect sense to me. That that chaotic side is like I'm in it for me. Like at that chaotic neutral is like I mean if it
Hmm.
doesn't help me, I ain't about it. And so you and Reed to do that makes perfect sense to me.
I'm not looking to lose my life against a Kraken. You know what I mean? Just seems like
Well, and I mean, is Kraken like a figure of speech sort of thing? Or is that really a thing?
It's like a Scooby Doo mystery where they just dress up like a
Yeah,
kraken.
yeah. I mean, is
It
it? I
was
mean,
Thor the whole time.
I mean, I mean, I mean, is it really? I mean, are they really associated with a Kraken, or is that just the name of
Right.
Yeah,
their
yeah, that's true.
their group?
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
guess only one way to
if
find
there
out.
really if there really is a Kraken involved, that's pretty cool.
I mean, I'm excited either way.
I mean, we definitely will have to get on a boat then.
Oh yeah.
Or do we want to get on a boat though? I feel like if we go on a boat, we're dying. Like someone's sinking that ship. You know what I mean? Kraken comes up from underneath, splits the ship in half. We drowned.
Let's be honest. We're gonna end up sinking our own ship with
Yeah, yeah.
fireball or something.
Hmm.
That's a very, very real possibility. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. No. I want
All
to
right.
level up a little quicker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Speaking of level up, all right. So a good point came up, and I just wanted to touch base on it. I got a couple points I wrote down. So we mentioned about Frank leveling up. Have you ever heard of anything like that, Eric, or anybody? Like I think it's cool in theory, but I think it's one of those things that too much to manage, right?
Having your pet,
Familiar
having
or yeah, yeah.
your familiar. Yeah, no, normally those don't level up.
What if you had
I
like
mean, I guess
Fluffy? Like Fluffy, does Fluffy level?
I think
no,
that was the whole reason
no.
we left Fluffy back in Phandalin, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's why because he won't last long. At a certain point, he's fodder, and that's why familiars are. It's no big deal. They disappear. It's no big deal that you can just bring them back, sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
They have 2 hit points. They have 5 hit points or whatever. Um,
Yeah.
they're
One.
not they're not there for battle sense. They're there for
A shield.
recon and yeah, support and info gathering and things like that.
Right. And occasionally expendable. I get you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I don't know. It struck me as kind of one of those, huh, that would be kind of cool. Maybe we should explore that. What if like Frank is a level 7 and gains more HP or something? I don't know. But
I mean, if a DM wanted to go that route, you could certainly do that. It would be a little bit. It would be a little bit to manage. I think it would take a little bit of creativity on the DM side and say, this Frank now has a new ability. He can attack twice now, or his roar does a frightening attack or something like that. Maybe you would gain stuff like that as you go.
yeah.
Shoots
But
a fireball out of his mouth. I like it.
but here's the thing. Here's the thing. At that point, though, Frank starts eating up XP from the rest of us because he
Oh,
now becomes a
that's
player.
true. That's true.
So what you're
Very
saying is
true.
we need to
If you're
kill the cat before the end of.
I think that's he's saying that we should have killed Droop a lot earlier because Droop was just leeching XP.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's what I'm gaining from this. We should have killed Droop.
maybe, yeah, maybe.
So
uh, Go
one
ahead.
thing I want to ask, since we're on the topic of Frank, is uh, Frank understanding if someone would cast a spell. That question came up, right?
I wrote it down. Yep.
And and I'm curious if that's a thing. So, when I'm thinking through this, right, this all came from Warwick getting drowsy and in a charm-like state and drooling, right?
Hmm.
So, who was up next? Frank was up next, right? And he just kind of went and did his thing, right?
Right. It was the question of would Frank knock you over to wake you up, or would he not know to knock you over? You know what I mean? And I get where Evan was coming from with that. I mean, in theory, if Frank had seen it happen, then maybe he picked it up. Like I think it's completely plausible. But I think when it came up was later on in the session, whether we should make Frank invisible and send him down the hallway or let Warwick go. And it's kind of one of those things where, okay, this is more of a strategic plan. Let's not
Yeah.
send the cat.
Got it.
Well, I mean, the cat has a limited intelligence. What, 6, 5, something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. I just had a
It's so
flashback of a scene of a moth, someone polymorphing
yeah,
into a
moth.
moth and just
Yeah,
hitting the light because their
yeah.
intelligence was so low. And so, I mean, Frank not
Which
knowing
is
what to do, not having the same ability to
right.
comprehend and make a conscious decision, he's not the right thing to send.
Which is different than the druid's capability of shape changing because you keep your intelligence, you keep your wisdom, you keep your um, charisma too, I believe.
Hmm.
I thought you kept
Um,
your constitution.
no, I think it's your charisma, intelligence, and
Okay.
wisdom.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
So
it wasn't a
Actually,
question.
actually, I take that back. I think it's whatever's beneficial to you.
okay, okay. Maybe I think I've seen it where somebody had their constitution still, so maybe it
Hmm.
was something different. I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're right, Keegan. So the question of would Frank have known to knock you over? I would say maybe not initially, but I think he would understand that if you're sitting there drooling, that maybe he should rub up against you or something.
the
At
way
this point.
I would say have him roll an intelligence check, DC whatever, DC
Hmm.
10 maybe. So
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
set
So
as a DM. I'm saying as a DM,
right, right.
I would roll that as is Frank intelligent enough to at that point, to know.
So kind of like
Right.
when Grizz was like testing the waters and crossing the bridge, I think Garrett had him roll an intelligence check whether he
Mhm.
put two and two together that
Yeah,
that when you cross the bridge the skeletons collapsed.
yeah,
So it would just be a matter of whether the player assumes, oh, he's not smart enough to know, or the player says, hey DM, would he know?
yeah,
Okay, roll
yeah,
for it.
Got
yeah,
it.
yeah,
That makes
That
sense
makes
too. I think you could go either way, to be honest. I,
yeah.
I don't I don't think
Yep.
yeah. I don't think it matters, but yeah, but I also feel like if you play it one way, then you can't play it the opposite way later. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
You
right.
can't say he's too stupid to understand that he could just knock him over because he's drooling, but he's
Yeah.
smart enough to be able to make conscious decisions later on in a hairy situation.
Right.
Or for instance, Keegan charms somebody or
That
puts him to sleep or something like that.
or
Is Frank
cast
intelligence?
suggestion and Frank
Yeah,
attacks. Yeah, yeah.
and Frank attacks. Yeah, it's one
Right.
of those.
Does he actually know? Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. I like it.
Great question, though, Keegan. I'm glad you brought
Yeah,
that
good
one
one.
up. I did have that one written down. I feel like this whole conversation is talking about Frank, so I have to ask you, how bad did you feel after hitting Frank with necrotic damage?
I mean, I don't know. Keegan, I was like, I feel bad. Warwick doesn't give a shit. He's chaotic neutral. I mean, I didn't kill him. It's fine. I knew we were going to survive. They're skeletons. I'm not too concerned. Now, if it would have been in like a boss fight where Frank legitimately can die or someone legitimately is going to die, I may have felt bad.
Frank can't legitimately die, though. I
Die.
mean,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he can always be brought back. But yeah,
yeah.
if I would have killed him, eh, might have tickled me a little bit. Felt a little bad, tugged on one or two strings, but I didn't care.
yeah.
It
So
No.
you,
was an accident.
you guys have all seen Men in Black, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That guy whose head grows back if he gets shot off, gets
Yeah.
yeah,
shot off.
Is that
Yeah,
Frank?
That's how I think of Frank.
yeah.
Yeah,
I,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I agree with Eric on this one. In my opinion, sorry Evan, sorry Frank, sorry Griswold, Frank's expendable. Like
Yeah.
if one of us is going to get hit, it should be Frank.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I would agree with that for sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, like Adrin wants to cast, a little bit of healing on him, but he also knows that, like you said, Frank doesn't die. He's going to come back. The cat came back the very next day. Oh, the cat came back. Anyway, I don't think that's a copyrighted song. I think we're okay, right?
I think it was out of tune a little bit, so I
All
think
right,
we're
all
okay.
right. I'll sing it. I'll sing it in
Only
a
a little
minor.
bit. Only a little bit.
Anyway, like he wants to cast healing on him, but he also knows he can come back. It's not really a big deal for him to come back. Plus, does he really want to use a spell slot that might be needed later on
Yeah.
But
And
for
I think
somebody who can't come back?
but unless we're in a situation where it's transportation issue, that
Mhm.
spell slot shouldn't be worried about for Frank, in
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I agree with
Great
that.
points. Great points. What did you take, Keegan, from the whole situation? So you brought it up. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna throw it back at you. What was your take on whether Frank would understand now that you know like our perspectives and
I think that keeping in mind that this happens, even though it takes us 5 to 10 minutes apiece to each make a move, which is insanely long, uh, it's all happening in game within 6 seconds. And Frank going right after me, I don't think he would have known. And really, the only reason that we knew that, hey, you have to smack him or hit him or knock him over or something is because the DM told us, oh, to get Warwick out of this, you have to knock him over or something like that, or you have to cause some type of physical interaction, right?
I mean we've
Other,
encountered charm spells as a group before, so I think everybody in the group would be knowledgeable enough.
right,
Like as far as the player or the characters, all
right,
characters in the group would know. I feel
right.
like Warwick would even know because he cast a lot of that stuff that does have that interaction, and we've seen it with the Onis, right? You cast it,
Mhm.
Griswold attacked, and all of a sudden it didn't work anymore. And
Right.
so Frank was there for that, and that's my only reasoning on Frank might understand.
He might. I think he
Mhm.
may have. I mean, realistically, like looking at the entire situation, we had what, 3 guys there, 4 guys there. If it would have been like, hey, Warwick's about to die, yeah, absolutely take the advantage, make sure, get me out of harm's way. But with that small of a situation, I was completely fine with Frank doing his own thing.
It's almost like you're segueing me here because my next topic was like right on point. You just keep doing that for me. I don't know. Did you steal a copy of my notes?
Great minds think alike, my friend. Great
Because
minds think alike.
literally my next note is like how to handle when players don't understand. Like, do you handle that in game? Do you handle that like because the ultimate goal, right, is to be able to face the big bad and go to that big boss fight with everybody playing perfectly or close to so that they don't hurt someone else. So how do you manage that within each round, right? Like I think back like other times like if we had talked to each other about, hey, you shouldn't do that this way, you should do it this way, then the next fight they do it correctly, and then from there on out, that way when the big boss comes, we're all doing the correct things. So how do you handle that? Because obviously you never want to tell someone, hey dude, you're playing this wrong. Or you never
Yeah,
you, you never want to single someone out and be like, you fucking idiot, you've been playing this wrong the whole time, right? uh, Pardon my language, YouTube. But yeah, so I'm gonna throw this one to Eric first. He has the most experience here. How do you handle that for newer players or like people who have been, not doing it correctly? I'm gonna put air quotes around that because I mean, like I said, you ultimately are just trying to help.
I don't know. Is there a right and wrong way to play your character?
And no, I completely agree. There's not, but I guess the question is more about like that whole perfect practice mentality, right? If you if someone continues to make the same mistake, it's kind of one of those things where you're practicing bad skills.
Yeah, I think it's the player has to learn. I'll give an example. Um, my other group, uh, friend, she's just started playing. Uh, didn't quite understand the rules of Fireball and Friendly Fire, and she was like, "I'm going to launch a Fireball and center it here." And she ended up like doing like 20 points of damage to her paladin tank. She took the damage and she just kind of like looked back at her and going, what the fuck sort of thing. And she's like, she's like, oh, is that really a thing? I'm like, yeah, that's a thing. She's like, I didn't realize that. So to this day, we kid the hell out of her about, hey Steph, don't play, don't drop a fireball on us.
That's awesome.
So I
So
guess you kind of answer the question and let them figure it out for
let
themselves.
them, let them figure it out for themselves. Yeah.
I feel like that was kind of the whole point of this campaign because I mean, other than you, Eric, none of us had ever really played. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I played a couple, one shots here and there, but it was never a serious thing.
Yeah. 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 So like you said, let it play. Where you screw up, you screw up.
All right.
I mean, even watching like CR. There's times that I'm going, what are you guys doing? Or even some of the veteran players like Taliesin or Liam. Liam, not so much. Liam's usually no. I take that back. There's times I'm going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But it's me. This is what I would do, sort of thing. And that's what he would do. So, I can't. I can armchair quarterback, I guess, but you know,
Yeah. All right. Let's switch over to Rusty. Rusty, you sound like you're on the same page, but I wanted to give you your fair share. Any different thoughts?
No, I mean, I'm kind of right there. As we all sort of started this figuring out as we went along, and I think that's kind of the best way to do it. Take off the training wheels, fuck it, run down the hill.
Whew. I just got heart palpitations with that one. Oh shit. I feel like Giants are in our future and TPK is on on the horizon. Uh, all right, I'll take it. What about you, Keeks?
Yeah, I'm of the mindset it's your character. You created it the way you want it to. Let them play it. I mean, now I'll put a caveat to this, right? Obviously, if they're like doing damage, to the team consistently,
yeah,
maybe that's a
yeah.
no-no, right?
It,
Yeah,
But
that, yeah,
I mean, for me, it's just let them do it. I mean, because I think kind of like Eric said, there's more than one ways to skin a cat, right? I
yeah.
mean, a lot of different things are going to happen, and our DM may or may not throw different things at us randomly. Who knows? So it can completely alter how things happen, right? So
I'm,
I don't know.
like to that point, you're right. There is a fine line. Like if I'm the only one that has cure spells, and I mean I know you have a couple, and I know but I'm just saying hypothetically, I'm the only one that has cure spells, and everybody is like hurting and bleeding out and everything, and I'm using spells for you know fairy fire instead of like actually healing somebody. Okay, maybe someone needs to say, "Hey, idiot, can you help us out here?"
Yeah,
But yeah, no, you're right. There's a fine line. There's a line.
yeah. So I think it's let them do it. Let them see what happens, and you
Yeah,
never know. It's gonna take that one time where they just surprise the hell out of you.
yeah,
It'll happen.
yeah.
Hell, we'll get goosebumps. It's gonna be amazing. Feedback comes along. You know, there we go. That's the time, right? You got to build them up. Let them build up that confidence, right?
Right.
All
And I'm
right.
pretty sure we know Griswold rolls bad. He's gonna roll good. It's gonna happen.
Well,
He just needs to shut up. He needs to not talk smack.
Yeah,
well,
pretty much.
so it's.
He jinxes
I
himself every
think
fucking time.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the only reason we realize that he's rolling poorly consistently is because he's saying, "I'm gonna I'm gonna rip his head off." Crap, I rolled a 1. You know what I
I
mean?
rolled
Like,
a 2.
that's the only reason we realize it. If he didn't like say that and then roll poorly, we wouldn't notice it at all. If he was just like, "Okay, I'm gonna attack this person. I rolled it. Yes, I rolled a 20. I rip his head off." If you had said it after, you know what I mean?
But doesn't that just bring life to the game, right?
That I love it.
Makes it enjoyable. It makes it fun.
It
You know what I
cracks me
mean?
up every time.
So
Every
like,
time.
yeah, you have to have like at least one or two of those people in there that's just like it's a good time, and you're like,
Uh,
you know what you're gonna say before you say it, but go ahead and say it, and you roll like shit. That's all.
yep.
Valid way to look at it. I
Yeah,
like it. I like it for sure.
but you have to laugh with him. Can't laugh at him, right? You
Right.
gotta laugh with him.
Well, maybe.
Well, okay, maybe a little bit of both. Maybe a little bit of both.
You gotta
I
find that
think
healthy
that,
balance.
I think the laugh with him's kind of dependent on him actually laughing about it, right?
Well, knowing who the person is, he gonna laugh at himself. Those are great. Especially if he's like, I'm gonna rip his head off and he nat ones.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
And then
That's
he
awesome.
rips Amrook's head off instead.
We did have a vision of Amber dying. Just didn't know it could happen like this.
It was to giants, not half giants. So we'll see.
What that? Oh,
All right. While he's going away, I think it's time to transition. Not that type of transition, Keegan. We're gonna jump into magic item of the week, or as we like to call it, Siddle's Compendium of Magical Artifacts. We dubbed it that last time. I know it's a mouthful, but it does not roll off the tongue. Go ahead, Rusty.
Hey, but that is the name of the spreadsheet, man. So it is set in stone. You know, Microsoft has it. Everyone has it. We're all good. Um, all right. So first one up. I think this would be a great addition to our Goliath's repertoire. And that is the Wand of Fireballs. Go right on there with his Wand of Magic Missile.
He's dual wielding wands. I can see it.
So this one is fairly self-explanatory. Wand has 7 charges. While holding it, you can use an action to expend 1 or more of its charges to cast a Fireball spell with a spell save DC of 15, which is actually a pretty damn good DC. I think that's better than that's actually one higher than the DC if I cast it. So,
wow.
yeah, spell save DC 15 from it. 1 charge, you cast a 3rd level version of the spell. You can increase the spell slot level by 1 for each additional charge of the spell. Or charge you expend, rather. Wand regains 1d6 plus 1 expended charges daily at dawn. If you expend the last charge, roll a d20 on a wand. It crumbles into ashes and is destroyed.
the only way that this works though is if Griswold gets like a holster where he can holster both wands, and then you know what I
Oh
mean.
my god, like bandolier fucking
The
wands.
Oh, yeah.
only way this works. He can dual wield, right? He can dual wield the wands. No,
If he puts down a shield, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with it. I'd like to see that. Cast like 6 magic missiles, 6 fireballs.
That could do some fucking damage in one move there, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right. Next one up here. We have the Seeker Dart. This small dart is decorated with designs like windy spirals that can span the length of its shaft, or that span the length of its shaft. You whisper the word seek and hurl its dart. It seeks out the target of your choice within 120 feet of you. You must have seen the target before, but you don't need to see it now. So you could run this shit around a corner. What was that movie? They're firing bullets in arcs.
Wanted?
Was that Wanted? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. There we go. It's been a long time since I've seen that one. Anyway.
Is that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Angelina Jolie movie where
Yeah.
they trained assassins. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You must have seen the target before, but you don't need to see it now. If the target isn't within range, or if there is no clear path to it, the dart falls to the ground. Its magic spent and wasted. Otherwise, the elemental winds guide the dart instantly through the air to the target. The dart can pass through openings as narrow as 1 inch wide and can change direction to fly around corners. When the dart reaches its target, oh, this is cool. The target must succeed on a DC 16 dex save or take 1d4 piercing damage and 3d4 lightning damage.
Ooh.
The dart's magic is then spent and then becomes an ordinary dart.
Okay, so I mean, chance of 12 damage on that dart. Not bad. I think that could be like a low level OP.
Yeah,
Eventually
yeah,
that yeah,
yeah.
eventually that like it's kind of like, oh, there's a fly.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah. Be
that's
something
cool.
kind of
That's
cool as a, quiver full whatever for
Mm.
our pal Reed or something like that, but being able to take pot shots from around the corner would be perfect.
Homing pot shots.
Yeah.
Homing pot shots, exactly.
That sounds perfect for Mordai, actually.
Yeah, that was after I said Reed, I was like, no, that's wrong. He'd only have to pop out exactly once, and then.
Yep.
All right, last one up. The rope of climbing. This 60-foot length of silk rope weighs 3 pounds and can hold up to 3,000 pounds. You hold one end of the rope
Do
and
you?
use an action to speak to. What's that?
I have it.
Is that the one you've got?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
I
That
have
means we've
it.
already discussed this one on here, then, isn't it?
We have what, a rope of climbing and a rope of mending, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is
So,
awesome. That's what I used to wrap up the Weevil for a
so
while.
I thought it sounded familiar, but I wasn't certain it was the same one. Okay.
I haven't used it to climb though. I mean, I haven't used it for its namesake, but
There's
I
a little
wrapped that
irony
thing up.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
like
basically,
so with that one, you can basically like command it to release whatever's up there, right? So like
Yep.
if we tie it to something, climb down, you can like use a bonus action to command it to release that so that you still have it and you can keep
Mhm.
going.
Exactly. Yep.
We could do
So I
all.
wonder if you could you tie that to the end of another rope and just use that as like your end piece, That would totally work, right? Or do you have to be touching it?
No, you don't have to be touching it.
Oh no, if you hold one end of the rope and use an action to speak the command word, the rope animates.
Yeah.
But
So
then
you
you
do
can.
have to be touching it. Right back.
Well, I think that's just a start, though, right?
Well, you would command it, you'd tie it, but then to get it to untie itself, you have to touch it and command it to untie.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, alternatively, you could just use it like a regular rope.
Lasso that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well,
All right. Good
I'm
stuff.
all down early, but I got to put the kids to bed.
Nope, you're good. Have a good one. Give the kids a kiss for me.
Ready for Sunday.
All right. Sounds
Absolutely.
good.
Bye, guys.
And
Later,
while
dude.
he leaves, see ya, we will transition, not that type of transition, into
Stats Chat. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to Keegan.
He said something about he hates you. I don't know.
Oh, jerk.
Let me
I
turn
always
on.
liked Evan better.
Oh, shots fired.
Oh.
All right, let's get into these stats. So, looking at the damage flow, Siddle still consistently doing a shit ton of damage. Now, I do want to say Amrook's damage is a little low because we didn't figure out that whole like not rolling until like the last guy we were fighting. But
Yeah,
nonetheless,
that was jacked up.
yeah. I
Man,
mean,
so to be fair though, I did have a really, really good crit with a firebolt.
Mm-hmm.
Because
that's
like
true.
I critted and I think I rolled max damage. So
Nice.
that did some that did some hitting there.
Yeah, you did like 22 or something like that on a hit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, something like that. I remember. I always thought it was even higher than 22 for some reason, but
It might have been that for some reason 22's popped in my mind, but that could be way off somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah, that was that. I got lucky on that one for sure. But
yeah. I was also trying to look on here to see if I could find Warwick's. I think it's in this section. His attack to Frank, and I couldn't find it there. I was a little sad, but
Um,
yeah, I don't see it there. Maybe it wasn't in that round.
yeah, I'm trying to remember how I did that.
Yeah, because it would show up at the top. Anyway, if we don't have the stat, I guess Griswold still holds the highest amount of friendly fire at this point.
Well, I can make sure we fix that.
No worries. Just a quick recap of the kills from last time. Amrook coming out at the top on that one. Take that, Siddle. And then
Uh,
followed up actually by Reed and Adrin. Adrin pulling out a couple kills this time, huh? Usually I feel like Adrin doesn't get the finishing blow. Do you ever feel like that sometimes?
Sometimes I do.
That
Yeah, sometimes I do.
I felt like that when we were in that dragon cave. That I just kept setting people up, and then they
Hmm.
would finish them off. But I mean, this
Yeah.
time just kind of probably because of that rolling thing that they were not at that point where someone else could kill them. That's my
Yeah, right.
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. I did find this odd. So the piercing damage was pretty off the charts. And if we look at it, like Reed did some good damage this time.
Hmm.
mhm.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I think he may have crit one time, plus a pretty hellacious sneak attack damage another time. Like he was pelting people,
yeah, he was. He was.
and I think
He
he
was
even
in.
pulled out a rapier at once. So I mean
Yeah, he
that's
was.
piercing damage too. So he was bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, he was. Rapier or short sword, one of the two. Either way, they're piercing. But yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool to see him up there at the top with the highest type and the most of that. I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe it's just silly of me, but that's just
Well, I mean, looking at our weapon inclusion, um, mine's bludgeoning. Uh, Reeds are all piercing. Althea's piercing when she's not using spells.
Griswold's piercing as well.
And Evan is piercing. I think me and you're the only two that have the off.
I'm slashing
Yeah, you're slashing and mine's bludgeoning. So
and rusty as fire. So
fire. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, I mean, I guess you have chromatic orb, and now that you have meta magic, which we still haven't seen come out, I was waiting for you to use it this time. Um, I mean, I guess you
See, I
don't
was
need to, but
yeah, I was saving the sorcery points in case I found something that was
Yeah.
resistant or immune to fire.
oh, does that cost
Yes.
something? I thought it just gave you. It was
Mhm.
like a feat that it gave you the
Oh yeah, no,
option to.
I've got to use sorcery points, and I've only got a couple of them, so
Yeah.
I've got to be real choosy on when I swap a fireball over to a different type.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. If we're looking at this, I'm just making sure frost giants are still at the top. I wonder how this is going to look after the confrontation with Nisana, though. I feel like Nisana's got some HPs.
I don't
Whether
know. We'll see.
whether it's a Kraken or whatever it is, I don't know. But I feel like this funnel chart here may change in the near future.
Hmm.
I was trying to look. I didn't have times. I'm sorry. To at the healing at this past one. I feel like there was yeah, there's only like 7 points of healing this past session.
The
So
the only I healed Reed after the last battle. That was it because
yeah.
he was the only one that was really down. I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because he ran in first. So I want to
Hmm.
mention that. Like I feel like did we check that door or did I zone out? Like when he got to the bottom of the steps, did we do a perception check on that door to see if we could know if there was anything back there or anything, or did we just barge in?
I don't know. That's when I checked out to take Bruno outside. So I have
Yeah,
to.
there were so many technical difficulties at that time that I don't know if
Yeah.
I mentally checked out or what at that time. I just could not remember. Did could
Yeah.
could we have avoided that? like barging in here to a trap. I don't know. I think ultimately we would have had to barge in, but maybe we could have reordered. How would you handle that? Like we're all in a line in a hallway, right? Like, do you
Yeah.
allow players to like shimmy along the wall and
Oh
skip
yeah, I
past each
would.
other?
Yeah, I would. Yeah,
All right.
you can slide out of the way, sort of thing.
Right, right. Reed could just crawl under us, so I mean, I wasn't
Yeah,
worried
yeah.
about him, but I think Adrian was up next. So,
The only thing I would maybe do is Griswold. Getting past Griswold would be considered difficult terrain. That's how I would maybe change something.
yeah, I actually had that in my notes as well because the giant's body, well, it was a decaying giant in this case, should that have been difficult terrain to cross? Because I know a lot of times we like pull it off because it's like the body's of a skeleton, not a big deal. But when it's a large mass like that, should that be difficult terrain?
That's
Obviously,
always hard.
obviously,
That's
G,
always
everything's up to the DM. We just hypotheticals here.
that's always hard because at that point you're starting to kind of be a little nitpicky, and yeah, I understand there's the realization, but it's a fantasy game. We're it's not real, so I don't know. I get it. I know there's players that do that. It's you got to step over bodies, and I don't know. That
I
one's
think at
hard.
some point there's so much there's if you start adding too many different rules and considerations and whatever, it just gets cumbersome, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And a little history, and that actually is a good point. Is some of the older sessions did start to do that. They started to um, have so many different roles. It just became confusing almost to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're more worried about the rules than sort of immersing yourself in this world that you've built together.
yeah, yeah,
Good point. Good point. So, if the story kind of lends itself, maybe do it. If not, just go with the flow.
yeah.
Yeah, I get you. But
So
other
you have the non-attacking spells. I'm trying to do a better job of when tracking when, for instance, Griswold's. I think it's aura protection. I believe that's what it was. Um, it actually caused a hit to miss on Adrian, and I'm trying to keep a better record of that, like when those buffs or debuffs are effective.
right, right.
It's kind of hard to do.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the stats you keep track of, like because I did it for you that one time, I can say are more than enough. Like I wouldn't worry too much about the other stuff. The other stuff's just gravy that we can
I
kind
think it's
of
fun though.
for sure, for sure. But I think that's one of those things that it's super hard in game that you would have to like devote some time to go back and watch the session and track.
Yeah,
I don't know. Or
like I
you know, if we had an
I
official stats tracker, if anybody out there is watching and wants to keep stats for us, feel free to send us a message.
yeah, really.
But go
Um,
ahead, E.
what was I gonna say?
Probably
Um,
probably gonna say something about how much you love Amrook. That's what on
yeah,
everybody's mind right now.
I do
Where
like
was
Amber.
where
I
I
do
was
like
going to
Amber.
go next.
What's that, Rusty?
That's where I was going to go next.
I mean,
Oh,
it's
I know.
just a shame he's gonna
I
die.
I do I do want to track better um, advantage from flanking. How often we hit more often we hit with the flanking advantages.
Mm,
I
mm.
use it more than anybody.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
throw it out there. Like that is the
yeah,
main reason that my damage is where it's at because I constantly use that. Like I
yeah,
I purposely position myself to utilize that, and that does get a little hard with Grizz sometimes, and that's kind of why
Yeah,
like I chimed in whoo last time, and I was like so you have 15 more movement. If you shift around, that gives this person, and then we can kind of like
yeah,
like you've seen in movies where they're like dancing around the guy in the center, just
down each other. Yeah,
beating the crap out
yeah.
of him, right? And
Hmm.
so in my mind, like that's the most efficient way to do that. But I
Yeah.
understand that that could take away some of the immersion. So my
Mhm.
apologies for chiming in there. It's hard to bite my tongue sometimes
Yeah,
when
no,
I'm like, just do it. I'm sorry.
yeah,
So when you say that people dancing around, the first scene that comes into my head from a movie is Shaun of the Dead when they're beating the shit out of his stepfather as a zombie with fucking pool cues with "Don't Stop Me Now" from Queen going in the
yeah,
background.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's like choreographed ass kicking. It's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of picture that that's how it would be for us. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so, but yeah, no. So I have to get better at just biting my tongue because Eric, you do a great job. You've been playing for so long. I don't know how you hold back, but for me, like it just it rises up and I just blurt
I
it
know.
out like I have Tourette's or something. Like I
Yeah,
just
no, it
I
it, it is a little bit of a skill, I will admit.
I give you props on it. I'm trying. I really have to devote some power to it and get better at it and just be quiet and just let it happen. But it's tough. So
Yeah.
anybody out there, that is, in my personal opinion, the toughest thing about this game. The toughest thing about D&D is just keeping my mouth closed instead of
Mhm.
trying to help someone.
Or knowing when to be dumb about something.
So I watched a video. Jenny D did a video about playing a character with low intelligence, and I
Yeah,
give her props for that video because like
yeah.
to think about it that way. So
Mhm.
if you're watching, go out and watch Jenny D's video on it. But yeah, it was just kind of cool to think about, and it kind of made me want to play a dumb character because
Mhm.
then I can just be dumb,
Yeah, yeah,
That'd be a really fun one to like act out.
right? And just play dumb.
yeah.
I don't know, but
And and it's hard sometimes too. Like my case, my intelligence isn't really that high, but my wisdom is. So it's one of those things where, okay, would Adrian know this? Okay, he's not book smart, so we know that. But you know, does he know certain bear attacks, or how like the winter wolves sort of thing?
hmm
Um, so that's why I'm like, okay, Garrett, would I know that? So
yeah, and I have to get better about that too, because Garrett and I actually had a conversation about it. I was assuming that little experience in adventuring that I wouldn't have knowledge of things, and we all talked about it like well, you might have heard it from a guy who knew a guy or
yeah,
something like that, and
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's one of those things that you just got to kind of say, okay, do I know it or not? Roll for it.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So, but with that, I think
Uh,
we're gonna wrap it up. One more thing. What do you got? Pressure's
I
on.
just was just gonna say real quick. I think it was in the 3.5 edition, or maybe it was fourth edition, one of the two. You you could roll to see how much you know about um a certain creature. Um, like if you came across a mind flare, you never seen one before in your life. Maybe you read about it in a book, or maybe you've heard stories about it. Or maybe you're like, what the hell is this alien thing? So roll, and depending on how the CR of the creature or how popular they are, whatever whatever you rolled, this much. If you rolled like 500 DC, you might heard of them. You might have like, okay, like they live in the underground or something. So depending on what you roll, the more knowledge you know about that creature.
Hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Rusty, you got anything to say before we end the stream?
No, I think that's about it.
All right, good stuff. Thanks for the magic items of the week, and thank you everybody for watching. We will be back Sunday, I think. I think Sunday with the hunt for the Minotaur. I'm calling the name of the episode now, the hunt for the Minotaur.
All right. Remind me that when.
We'll see. We might come up with something better. All right, thanks for watching.